Welcome to the Growth Minded Accountant podcast, where our experts will share best practices on running your firm in the digital age. This podcast is brought to you by CountingWorks Pro. Let's get started.
Welcome to another edition of the Growth Minded Accountant podcast. Today's topic is from clicks to clients, how your tax and accounting firm can rank locally in search. My name is Lee Reams. I'm the founder and CEO of CountingWorks Pro and our sister company, taxbuzz.com. And I am joined by our local SEO expert, Rebekah Barton. She's our Chief Visibility Officer here at CountingWorks Pro. If you want to say hello before we jump in.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to talk about this today. It's my favorite thing.
And we're in a new year, so 2024. We're getting ready for tax season to start. And many of you definitely are still a local-based business. So you're dealing with clients that are around you. Even though a lot has gone remote, you still have primarily most of your clients that are in driving distance of you. You might focus on specific businesses in an area, a city. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is going to help you increase your firm's visibility. So before I get into all the nuts and bolts of what we're going to talk about, we're going to start with what is local SEO. And Rebekah, if you can kind of start the conversation and I'll just guide it from there.
Sure thing. Yeah. So local SEO is essentially targeting people in your area of the country. A lot of it has to do with mapping. When I talk to clients, one of the big things we talk about is triangulation, which is those top 3 results on Google Maps specifically. When people search things like accountant near me, tax firm near me, you want to be in that triangulation. You want to be one of those 3 firms. Local SEO can help you do that. So it involves things like optimizing your website for keywords that are like in your local area, writing blogs that relate to your local area, even things like posting social media content that relate back to things in your local area, writing SEO optimized social media captions. All of that geo-targeting that you do online is going to play into how well you rank locally. Citations also are a big part of it. I left that out, but that's something that my team really focuses heavily on here at CountingWorks.
So you brought up something, and I think it's important. And I know visually we're doing a podcast, so we can't really show this, but on the search results, when it's local, so meaning somebody is either being tracked on their location or they're saying, I want to find something near me, the results will come back normally in this sequence. You'll have the maps on time. We're talking about Google right now, but you'll have the Google Maps on the top. Then you will have the Google business listings next. And believe it or not, the organic rankings are then even below that. So explain a little bit, there is a difference between the 3 and kind of explain, if you can, what each one and how it works.
Yeah, so there is definitely a difference. So the map itself is based on your physical location of your office. This is why if you've ever talked to me, if you're a client listening to this, I'm always asking you, where are you? What is your physical location? That's because I want you to rank well on the maps. Google Maps does not understand virtual work very well yet. It still looks at your physical location, and when people near you search, it's going to pinpoint that exact area where you are. So that's why that matters. Google Business, little more based on how many reviews you have, all of that kind of thing as well. 5-star reviews are important, but it also takes your location into account. Your physical address is there, or you can set it to virtual appointments only, and it keeps your address hidden, but still knows where you are. So it's also going to pop up for people who are in your local area. I'm a bit more in your city than in your neighborhood sometimes, particularly if you have a lot of 5-star reviews and Google knows you're very high authority. Your business profile may pop up for people a little outside of that map range. And then organic search results are based more on your actual web authority, how well Google is ranking you in comparison to all other tax and accounting professionals in your region.
Yeah, I think the reason I asked that, Rebekah, is a lot of times marketers actually even forget that each one has its own set of rules on how to rank in there. There's different variables to feeding the algorithms. And we're going to talk about a little bit about that now. One thing that's really important to understand, and it doesn't apply as much in our vertical with tax and accounting pros, but roughly 50% of all Google searches are what we call local intent. And what that means is, finding me in a restaurant. I want to find a gas station. When it comes to the tax prep world, though, I probably, if I want to find a new advisor, I'm hoping I might want to see them in person. I want to look for someone who's, active in the community. And that's why it is important to understand kind of these signals. So one of the things is in the local SEO side, as Rebekah said, the location that the person's searching from is often a big indicator on some of those. So a lot of times what clients are doing is they want to game the system. So let's say they're in Atlanta, but they're not in downtown Atlanta, but they want to rank in downtown Atlanta. So Rebekah, let's talk about a couple different ways to play the game, so to speak. One is to optimize some local organic search landing pages. And another one is to perhaps try to figure out an office relocation or a second office that you might go in person every once in a while, but kind of explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so using local landing pages can be a way to target areas that you're not in, whether it's a local city, let's say like Lee just said, you're in a suburb of Atlanta, you're wanting to rank in Atlanta proper, you can do something called a local landing page. So basically what we would do is optimize a landing page specifically for that city. You would run it with social media ads targeting that area. That can be a very good way to get clients in that region who may not have found you otherwise, because if they're living in an apartment in downtown Atlanta and you're out in Peachtree City, they might not be seeing you when they search. Another option, and this is something that I work with clients on to assist them a lot, is getting a virtual office or a second office. Now, that said, it does need to be somewhere you can go. Google may ask you to verify by video that you actually do have a workspace. Co-working spaces are great for this because they do give you an actual physical office. PO boxes aren't going to work. I just want to say that straight up. It's not an option, but co-working spaces have really become super popular since the pandemic anyway. That's a really good way, not even just local cities. I have some clients who have like 15 virtual offices around the country where they have different employees. And then if they need to verify, someone can go in, do the verification because they do have a local employee. That's a good way to target not just your state or your region, but even the entire country if you get enough of them and have enough manpower to do it.
Which I think is awesome. So I thought that was an important point before I get into the next thing. And that is what is local SEO keyword research. So, okay, now you're targeting a local area. How do you go about deciding what keywords you want to rank on? How do you track that? What is the method behind it?
So there are a lot of tools that you can use on your own, or you can hire an SEO company or someone like CountingWorks to kind of help you with the keyword research, keyword tracking. I like Ubersuggest. If you're looking for a free tool, you kind of want to do it yourself. It's a very robust tool for being no charge. You can research high volume keywords in whatever area it is you're wanting to target. And sometimes you'll be surprised. I do keyword research for clients sometimes, and I'm surprised by the difference in what parts of the country say fractional CFO versus virtual CFO, for example. So it really does matter. You want to make sure you're looking into what the popular searches are in whatever region. If you're looking for paid tools, SEMrush, Ahrefs, both options for paid tools that you can get. Or again, you can hire someone to assist you with that part of things because it can be a little bit overwhelming, but it is really important. You might think that just typing in, Atlanta CPA firm would be enough to optimize for, or Atlanta tax professional. But sometimes you do find that regionally there are colloquial terms that you can rank really, really well for that you're not thinking of without doing that research.
And let's talk about, I always use Boston and the Back Bay. I know it's but it's easy to understand. So Boston's a big city. You're a CPA firm that you want to target businesses around the Back Bay, which is a geographic location. So if I were putting together keywords around that area specifically, do you suggest talking about landmarks in your copy on your landing page where there are other businesses that are located there? What would be other signals that tells Google, hey, this is a local business in that area, I should rank it?
Absolutely. I think one of the best things you can do for yourself if you're trying to target a specific neighborhood in a city or a specific region of a city is write like a guide to that region, but make it targeted to your audience, obviously, but mention things like businesses that have been there for 100 years that people are going to know, places that are well established. Using geolocation can be hugely helpful in ranking, using landmarks, using, cemeteries, whatever it is, historical markers, anything that you can work into your copy naturally without keyword stuffing that's going to tell Google and tell readers, hey, they really know this area. It's going to help you. So from a Google standpoint, obviously it's going to geolocate you even more. Google's going to be like, wow, these people really have a grasp of where this area is. From a UX standpoint, that's user experience. People are going to read that. And if they're in that area, they want someone who lives, works, and plays in the same place they do. And the more you show that you know the area, the more likely they're going to be to choose you.
So what are some other things that you could do? So a question is, if I had some of my business clients link back to me, or those signals to Google? Would any community events that I sponsor and have citations of my name in that area, would those be signals? Are those things that would help you rank better?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Obviously, there is a bit of a scale. Someone mentioning you on social media may not hold as much authority as, say, you sponsor, you're sponsoring the Boston Red Sox for the season or something like that. Obviously, the higher authority the situation is, the higher authority the signal is going to be. But anything you do is good. One thing I tell people a lot that you can do on social, you can do it for free. Make reels on your Instagram account or make TikTok videos. Both of those platforms make it very easy to collaborate. You just check a little box and it will show up on both of your pages. So make reels with other local businesses that you work with. Do a little Q&A with a business owner you work with. Maybe you specialize in restaurants. Talk to a restaurateur you work with. Ask them what their favorite thing about working with you is, how their business has changed since they started working with your company. Share it as a collaboration to both of your pages. You're automatically reaching a wider audience and you're getting a local SEO boost without spending a dime.
Yeah, and it also starts in some ways connecting you to the community.
Yes.
So the idea is that, as a buyer, I want to work with a local business. I want my money to stay in the local economy. If they're working with these local businesses and they're saying, hey, this is a great accountant, it humanizes it, right? And I think it's a big deal. So from there, I think one of the missing elements that we touched on a little bit, but is your Google business profile and why it is so important in ranking locally. Some statistics say it's 25% of the algorithm. It's the number one ranking factor. So explain a little bit of how, what we do for our clients when it comes to their Google business profile, how we push content out and make it fresh, how we attract 5-star reviews, and why this is important in order for your Google profile to index so well.
Definitely. So for one thing here at Counting Works, we are going to make sure that profile is optimized. So in regard to Google Business, what that means is we're going to make sure your hours are accurate across the internet, your address is accurate, that it matches up with any citations we build for you. Very important to have accurate information around the web. We're also going to push out content like Lee mentioned. So this is something a lot of people don't realize. Your Google Business profile can have articles pushed out to it, similar to a blog. So we will be pushing relevant content, tax and accounting content to that page. You can also publish local articles to your own learning center or blog on your website through us, and you can also push those out to your Google business profile on your own. So that's a way to reach local people that maybe you've never even thought of before. But the more content you put out, just like with anything else, the higher your authority is going to be, because Google's going to see that you care about updating, you care about putting out fresh content. As far as reviews go, we make it simple here with our review campaigns. They're pre-written, they're pre-built. You just have to shoot it out to all your clients, ask them to leave you a 5-star review. Reviews matter in the world of SEO because if two websites are equal, anyone can pay good money for a beautiful website. Google doesn't know the difference until they start looking at your reviews. That's a signal to Google that you truly are a respected business. You provide great services. People really like you in your local area. So the more reviews you have on a one-to-one basis, the higher you're likely to rank compared to your competitors.
Yeah, and Rebekah had mentioned the completeness of your name, address, and phone number. So it's not just Google's profile that we're worried about. It's everywhere there's a mention of your brand online. Google wants this to be consistent. And what that does is it's a signal to Google that this is accurate. So Google's business is to have a great user experience when someone searches. If someone goes onto a site, and let's say you had moved locations or you have not managed your NAP settings before, so these are citations about you in yellow pages and all over the internet, and you have different addresses, different phone numbers, that's going to be a negative signal to Google. So if it's comparing you to a competitor and they have more accurate information, that's why that's important. We talked about writing unique content for every location from an organic standpoint. So Rebekah, is it possible to target multiple locations doing multiple either landing pages and or local pages within your website?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. And I recommend also doing a separate Google business profile for every physical address you have. That's going to be really, really helpful in geolocating you. So you can do multiple landing pages. Let's say you want to target both Atlanta and Tampa Bay, for example. We can do local landing pages for both those areas. It will be up to you largely to figure out how to market them in that area, but you will be able to target all of those regions. You can also do local pages on your site. So that's another service we offer, location pages. So a lot of times, if it's just one or two locations, we'll actually do a separate page with a map block that showcases all of your addresses on multiple pages of your website. Once you get into 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 locations, we're probably going to do a single page for load time. We'll have a list of all of your locations. We can either link out to a Google business profile, we can link out to a map. There's lots of different ways to do it, but there are definitely options for ranking in multiple areas. And I'm always happy to talk strategy with people too. I love talking about that stuff, figuring out the best strategy for every business, because it is a little bit different for everyone. There's not really a one-size-fits-all approach to this kind of strategy. So that's why it's important to think through what you want, where you want to target, and who you want to target before you just start doing things.
I think that is great. I wanted to add one thing though, and I'm going to kind of pivot a little bit to how you actually write the title tags. And this is more of it's an H1, but let's just pretend it's the headline of your landing page for local. One of the best practices is not only to include your local keywords, so Newport Beach-based virtual financial advisor, right, or something like that, but you could also say, some sort of benefit driven. So it could be how many reviews backed by, 110 5-star reviews. If you start integrating that into the copy, when the user sees it, and actually I'm going to stop it. So one, the user is going to see it and go, oh, okay, there's a social proof statement in the actual headline, but does Google recognize that as well?
Google will. So the algorithm is smart. It's really, really smart these days, and it can read almost in a human-like manner. So when I do metadata, for example, even though metadata is no longer technically a ranking factor, it still matters because the algorithm still sees it. And so I often use things like that when I'm writing meta tags, especially. So meta titles, meta descriptions, I will often talk about benefits of using this particular service, things of that nature, to increase click-through rate and also to let the algorithm know, hey, people really like this firm. Like they are providing something that nobody else in the region is providing. And that can be really important, both from a UX standpoint and algorithmically.
And it also gives, and we're going to talk about some of this benefit driven and even just using more information on your listings from not just the keywords. And what I'm getting at is even when you introduce, so let's say you get a new client and you introduce them to a new staff member. A really good tip is that you introduce them with some background, this is so-and-so, they love dogs, they've been working with me for so long, X and X amount of years, they're really into the community. And it starts humanizing them. And if we can humanize your actual web copy, your landing pages as well, I think that's important. And one of the takeaways, and we're going to kind of pivot a little bit here, is how do you build community thought leadership, so to speak? So is that something where an advisor starts sponsoring free workshops, or kind of what would you suggest, Rebekah, in setting up that? And why is that a good signal to Google as well?
Yeah, so there are a lot of ways that you can build thought leadership. Some of them cost money, some of them don't. So you kind of have to think about, first and foremost, what do you want to do? What is your budget for this? But you can do things like post to TaxBuzz. We encourage our clients to do that a lot. We have an insights area where anyone who has an account can go in, write thought leadership topics, post them straight to the platform. They're then going to get a backlink to their website from TaxBuzz if they link correctly. And they're also sharing that information on a website that gets a couple million hits a year. That's a big deal for a small firm in particular. You can do a lot of other things too. Some people start Facebook groups. If you already have a little bit of a following, you can start a Facebook page where you encourage connection, you encourage community. You're talking about specific tax topics. You can also post to your own blog. I also recommend the Newsbreak platform. Newsbreak is great for local people because it really pushes out in your local area. You can create a free account. You can start posting about tax topics in your area. So let's just say there's going to be a new school levy in your region, and you see that this may have a tax impact on a lot of people, and you do a lot of 1040 work, you work with a lot of individual taxpayers who may be impacted. Write an article about it from a tax professional standpoint. Post it to Newsbreak, and you can start building community there too. There's comment section. You'll get readers who will follow you the more you do. And obviously your own social media as well is a great way to build thought leadership. And the more you post about a specific topic, so let's just say you have a niche where you're working with construction workers, construction foremen, and construction company owners, the more you post about that topic and the more curated content you post, the higher your authority is going to get in that particular niche. So really, no content is bad as long as it's on a high quality platform and you're posting something valuable.
Yeah, which leads into educational opportunities like podcasts, workshops, webinars, and you could do, year-end tax planning strategies for local businesses. You could, there's a lot of different ways to tailor that. And when it comes to, so I'm talking about marketing to local businesses, but let's talk about setting up referral networks with local businesses. So another way we mentioned, a great way is you interview your clients. So let's say you have a restaurant, you interview them, you do a case study, win-win, right? The other way to do this is build out your referral network. So local realtors, local estate planners, local corporate tax attorneys, business lenders, right? You can go on and on. So if you start reaching out and building up this local side, you could have a references or a resources section on your website. Again, get them to link to you. What are those, Rebekah, signals, right? Inbound link signals from local businesses who are in a similar financial industry. And I think that's another area that people sometimes forget or neglect, but another way to quickly gain a lot of clout, so to speak.
And it can be powerful too. It can definitely be a powerful way to send signals, especially if you're working with other well-respected businesses. That's going to just feed off of each other.
So we talked about landing pages, and what are your beliefs or thoughts on having an individual landing page targeting a local area versus having a page within your website already? And this is, we talked about this in a separate blog article about having multiple websites or not, but kind of what is your feedback there?
So it kind of depends on what you're trying to do, honestly. If you just want to geolocate to that area, a service page is going to be great for you. Basically, landing pages don't index super well on their own. They're one-pagers. They don't have a blog attached. There's not fresh content going out, but what they do really well is generate leads. So if you're willing to utilize that landing page in conjunction with social media ads or promote it through email to people who you're trying to upsell, that type of thing, it can be an incredible way to gain a lot of leads really quickly. So if you have a marketing budget, you're interested in promoting a particular service in a particular region, or you're trying to just target a particular region, landing pages can be absolutely incredible. If you really just want to target a specific area over time and start ranking there, then a service page on your website can be enough.
Yeah, and what's great about the CountyWorks Pro, I'll do a little self-promotion, but what's great about our platform is we do have the ability, specifically in our VIP packages, to have multiple landing pages, and we're getting a little out of local SEO, but they could be used that way. But we have a lot of clients who are just using them as niche sites, and then they'll do social campaigns or email campaigns or paid search campaigns that they're pointing people directly to these pages. They do get indexed as well, so you got to be careful, and that, I think that's what kind of Rebekah was saying. So I'm going to pivot a little bit to something that I think a lot of the industry neglects and is probably one of those low-hanging fruit items that we do for our clients. It's local PR. So we get opportunities, and we have our own PR department where we create content for our taxbuzz.com website. But in addition, we have, we had an article in Bloomberg News or Bloomberg Tax today. We had an interview with the Chicago Times today. We have a lot of different opportunities for our pros and our experts to have you as the thought leader. So explain why it's so important and how much value just even one article or one mention in local PR means to you.
Yeah, so there's two benefits. Well, there's more than two benefits, but two that really play into what we're talking about today. So one of the benefits is the perceived authority of someone who's quoted in a well-respected publication. The more people see your name in conjunction with a particular service or a particular niche, the more they're going to trust you to do the job right. And PR is a great way to do that. Whether you're in a local newspaper, you're talking to a local news station, whatever it is, that's going to be great for you from an actual authority standpoint to build trust with people. From an algorithmic standpoint, these are sources that have a lot of authority. Local news networks, newspapers, magazines, anywhere like that that publishes high quality, high authority content on your area. Google already loves these sites, right? They're ranking high for local search. If you're mentioned in that website, all of a sudden the algorithm's going to take notice, and it's going to be like, oh, wait, this person who has this website was mentioned here, and it's going to elevate you in the algorithm's eyes as well. So it's kind of a win-win because you're going to gain authority on Google and you're going to gain authority in the eyes of readers.
Yeah, and we're getting, that's more of an advanced SEO side, but we have seen incredible gains for our clients that do it. And It's a game changer because few accountants are getting themselves mentioned or spending the time. It doesn't take that much really to do it. And with tools like TaxBuzz AI, quite honestly, you can get a lot of your answers and some of the background from the AI tools and then just massage it for your audience. So there's a lot of ways to do that. So I'm going to continue on some of these, what I call advanced side. What is the advantage of putting Google's map on your, whether that be on your footer of your website, put it on your About Us pages, any of these local pages? Is that a signal as well? Is there any extra juice from that?
There can be extra juice from it. Google loves it. They love to have the map right there. And again, from just a user standpoint, people like visuals. People like to see things. So if you're purely talking UX, it's great to have a map because then people can look, they can be like, okay, I know where that is. Sometimes an address isn't going to help them. If they physically see where in the city you are, they might realize, oh, wow, that's right next to my favorite coffee shop, or I drive right next to there, every single day going to pick my kids up from school. They're more likely to make an appointment if they physically see where you are. Algorithmically, also, Google loves to see their stuff all over the internet. So you're going to be telling Google, hey, we're using your mapping system. We're posting your mapping system. Just like anything else, Google likes to promote itself. And that's basically free promotion for them when you're using a Google map on your website. So definitely a signal to Google as well.
And then I'm going to go now to staying on the local side. What do you think? And I'll give an example. Again, we're not visual because we're doing a podcast, but so one, let's say it's your homepage and you're, expert CPA in Newport Beach, California. Maybe that's your top headline. And then you have some secondary topics or things that validate that. Should you use local imagery? Should you mention more of the local area in your subtext? So how does that work?
Yes, that can definitely be helpful. So for one thing, Google loves a well-structured website. It loves H1s, H2s, H3s. That's a big ranking factor in this day and age. The more well-structured your website is, the more likely you are to rank well anyway. And if you're trying to do geolocation, trying to target a local area, the more you talk about that area in a natural way, the better you're going to rank. So using images that have alt text that relate back, let's just say in Newport Beach, you use an image of the marina and it has alt text that reads, photo of Newport Bay Marina at sunrise or something like that. That is going to give Google a signal that, wow, this imagery connects to all of the copy on this page. They really care about connecting everything. This is very cohesive. This is a high quality, solid website that's giving people relevant information.
So we had mentioned, okay, now you're putting some of these keywords in your copy and your homepage, but what is it when you get into going overboard and you start keyword stuffing? So and that really hurts you. And we often see people that DIY this, they start throwing in, San Diego, San Diego, San Diego, San Diego. Why is that bad? And it's more about user experience than anything else.
So you want it to be natural. And I tell people a lot, if you're writing about something and as a tax and accounting professional in a particular area, taxes and accounting, and that region. Write naturally. You're automatically going to include important key terms. If you have to go back and add something you missed once you do keyword research, that's fine. Alter a phrase to make it a long form keyword that you realize you should have used and missed. But I always tell people just write what you know, write what you're passionate about, and the keywords are going to come. The more you stuff keywords. So if you say San Diego every other sentence, people do not want to read that. It doesn't sound natural. They're going to think a bot wrote it, and not in a good way, not in like a you used AI to help you kind of way, but like just you used a robot to write your text. People want to feel connected to you. The more personal something is, the more likely they are to actually use you. So showcase your expertise, showcase your knowledge of the area, but do it in a way that's conversational. Sound like you're talking to your clients, because at the end of the day, that's what your website is. It's a way for you to talk to your clients before you actually talk to your clients.
And what we're talking about right now is we're trying to get you into understanding what storytelling, copywriting is all about, and how to write copy not for the search engines. We're talking about local SEO, but what a lot of times people that are not experts in it, they think they're gaming the system. And when it isn't natural, you're not going to convert, right? So you're trying to humanize, you're trying to pre-sell the client. So, if you're in your copy, you're talking about, I'm a huge Padres fan. I love taking the train down to the games with my family. I also support the local, Little League. Those are kind of things that now are humanizing you. It's helping from a point of view of building a relationship before they even call you. And then if they were referred to you by another local business or a colleague, it's also going to have, I have a referral now. Now this person is connected to the community. It's going to make it much more likely that they choose you. So I think these are all very good local SEO tips. I'm going to end with what, Rebekah, do you see? And I kind of am hinting at it. What are the most common mistakes that you see some of our new clients who have used other vendors or done the DIY approach that really hurts them when it comes to local rankings?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about keyword stuffing. That's a big one. Just very sterile, generic copy. Nobody wants to see that in this day and age. People want personal copy. They want to go on a narrative journey when they visit a website. So that's very important. I cannot overestimate the importance of your copy. It's very, very critical. And so I think that's one thing we see a lot. Another thing I see a lot is people not understanding alt text, which is a huge ranking factor for Google and something that many lay people just aren't familiar with. That can be very important as well, because alt text gives you an opportunity to connect all the imagery on your website to the content. Google loves that. Google loves cohesion. They love accuracy. The more your alt text connects to the copy, the better off you're going to be. Another thing I see is people sort of lacking branding across platforms. And this is getting a little bit away from the local SEO issue, but you have maybe an old logo on your Facebook, a different logo on your website. Your Instagram is a mess. That kind of thing can affect you from an SEO standpoint and from a user experience standpoint, certainly. The more cohesive you are, the better your brand is, the more personality your brand has, the better off you are, and the more clients you're going to convert unequivocally.
Yeah, and what this leads into, I'm going to finish with ChatGPT, Bard, obviously TaxBuzz AI. With all these tools, writing is becoming easier in a mass production point of view, but it also is becoming harder than to stand out amongst this just overwhelming amount of copy that's out there. So branding, positioning, having a personality, having humans that are massaging the copy, it really makes a big difference when it comes to rankings. And I think that's a definite mistake if you just go in there and start writing a bunch of AI-driven things without writing good prompts, and you'll start seeing where you can actually, if you don't do the proper prompts, you're going to get copy that looks very much like a machine wrote it. So definitely you want to humanize that as you go. So we're going to wrap up this podcast. I hope that this has been beneficial to our users. It takes a little while for this to start taking place. Rebekah, just real quick, what do you advise our clients when you start making changes? How long will it take to start seeing some real benefits?
Yeah, it's not overnight, but it's worth it. 6 to 12 months is generally what I tell people, and that really just has to do with how Google crawls the internet. I call them the web spiders. Google's going to send its little spiders out. They're going to crawl your website. That means they're going to look for updates. They're going to look for changes. The more content you post, the more relevant content you post, it's going to start stacking and building up. Kind of like going to the gym. The longer you go, the more you're going to see results. So don't give up. Stay the course. It's going to pay off in the end, I promise.
All right. Thank you. So we're going to wrap this podcast up. Again, thank you for spending your time with us. If you have any questions specifically for us, visit countingworkspro.com, or if you're interested in our AI, artificial intelligence community at taxbuzz.com, you can register for free and actually use the tool. We give a bunch of free tokens, and it's been quite a community now that we're building. So hopefully we'll see you on another podcast. Again, we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.